Hey, welcome in everybody. This is Joystick Journeys, Ep.1, and we've got Defend the Insanity with us today. Yeah. I like that we do that right after I just said it's episode 1. Oh, this is gonna be the energy for today, and it's gonna be great. So, first of all, thank you for doing this, man. Like, being the first one for it and everything, and whatnot. Also, I just realized that I didn't have the desktop audio on, so they didn't even hear what you said about
All right. No desktop audio. All right.
It's a good stream for me if I don't forget to turn the desktop audio back on.
All right, here's now.
Yeah. Yeah, they
All
should...
right, happy episode 100. Episode 100. Let's go.
Oh, this is great. So, for everyone joining and defend and just kind of just putting the preference out here for everything going on, this is going to be lax. This is going to be very just not uniform. As you can tell, I didn't even have the desktop audio on, and we're just going to be chatting.
My dog's losing it back there. It's great.
Yeah, we're doing fine. I've got some questions like somewhat planned out, but at the same time, if we get stuck on one of them and we just go on that question for the 2 hours or so, that's fine. I don't care. So,
okay. Sounds good.
So
go ahead, rip off question 1. Let's do it.
So I guess we start this off of, what type of gamer do you classify yourself as?
I literally just play whatever. I don't really like stick to like first person shooter. I used to play a whole lot of Halo. Like Halo SWAT used to be like my only game ever, and I would only play that. So if we ever get in like a Halo Reach, ranked match for SWAT, I probably will kick your ass several times over. But as far as like a gamer now, I feel like I'm more well-rounded and I don't really stick with one specific genre. My favorite game of all time is actually Skyrim, ironically, not Halo. But generally I just go with whatever game I kind of feel like playing, like what games finds a lot of interest to me, and then I kind of give it like that. You know how you read like page 100 in a book to know if you really like the book? I kind of give every game sort of that trial. I try to get at least like a third of the way through the game, and then I decide if I still like it or not. So that's kind of how I've been playing games recently, but that's just because like I've only had a really souped up gaming PC to play on for like I'd say 2 years now. And before I was limited to whatever's on like the Xbox One or whatever Nintendo released, basically.
I know we mentioned it to random question, who's the A button, B button? Vinny, jeez. I know with like the things you sent me earlier and everything, like I already mentioned that we have very close similarities with a lot of our gaming history. Like extremely amount of similarities. And like since I just joined the Cabinet Cozies and everything, they dubbed me as a variety streamer. But like I'm hardcore variety. You've been in my streams. It's very rarely that I'll play one game during a stream. And so like I definitely like that you're like, oh yeah, hardcore shooters, Halo. But my favorite game is Skyrim. Like right there is awesome. So just going from that, like, let's go to the beginning of everything. What's some of what was your first console?
My first console was the Super Nintendo. Now, to be clear, I am not that old. I'm not as old as the Super Nintendo. It's just the first console I had access to. So my dad actually owned the Super Nintendo. And when I was really young, like before the age of 4, basically, we had this like really old color TV. And this is like my first memory. I can't even remember what the game's even about. but I know it was like one of the Warner Brothers games on the Super Nintendo, and it had like a train, and that's the only thing I remember is being like Bugs Bunny on a train. But it was on one of those really old color TVs that still had like all the knobs, so you could
Oh
like
wow.
change the color. You could like play in black and white or full color, and then my parents would get so angry that I adjusted the knobs because I made everything like black and white because I didn't want the color that day, and they were like, why is the TV in black and white when we pay to have this like big TV with all the color knobs on and stuff?" So that was like my first game I ever remember playing. I know I played it like later in life too, so that's why I have more vivid memory, but I do remember that's like the first game I had ever played.
See,
Um,
see, for me, I started my first console that I have vivid memories of are between the SNES, so the Super SNES, and then I remember owning with my brother a Sega Saturn. Like
okay.
that's my era where I started, and you talk about game that you vaguely remember. There's this robot fighting game that was on the Sega Saturn that like you build it kind of like if you ever seen the anime Metabots, you build like a robot and
I
whatnot.
haven't,
Uh,
but
really
go
good,
off.
really good classic early like 2000s anime. Kind of was trying to compete with Pokemon at the time. But you build a robot and you just it was really shitty 3D and you sat and you
Oh yeah.
fought other robots. But the only thing I can like I never remember the name of it, especially because it's times where I forget about like, hey, what was this game? One of the producers had a man playing a didgeridoo, and that is all I remember
That's
with
all you
this game.
remember.
That's all.
That's awesome.
Vinny, it's kind of in the retrospect, it's kind of like custom robos, but I never remember the name of it. And then it just had a didgeridoo as one of the producers.
I see.
But I definitely wow, that is an old TV. The more I think about it, still having the knobs.
Yeah, the cathode ray tube television. It was actually revolutionary technology, by the way. I know a lot about it for I know too much about it actually, but it was
Forget the
it,
gaming for a moment. Let's talk about this TV.
well, let's talk about the TV, all right. Deep into the science. Physics too, actually, if you get to college, but I
uh,
think the other old system I had, well, we had like one of the really old Ataris, not like original Atari, because that'd be like really super sick, but like one of the like third or fourth gen Ataris we had sitting around, so we could play like some classic Pong. Um,
yeah.
and then we had a Nintendo 64, the one with like the Trident
Oh,
controller.
the I don't know how to hold this, but Mario Party is going to put welts on my hands
Yeah,
controller.
except I was playing Banjo and Kazooie. I think they had like an island game. I don't remember the name of the title of the actual game, but you could fly around in a little airplane. That one was pretty good.
That sounds like Dixie Racing.
It could be. I
Like
have no idea.
um I remember so I went to N64 after the Sega Saturn. I remember vividly having a 64. And that was again,
We still have
how
the 64.
I wish we still had our 64. Me and my brother got rid of it at some point, probably to buy
Oh,
a newer system. And then we somehow acquired another one. But the only games that came with it was the South Park game that was for the 64, Majora's Mask, and then two
hey,
copies
Majora's Mask.
Majora's Mask solid. And then two copies of Lego Racer.
Lego Racer was on Nintendo 64.
Lego Racer was on Nintendo 64. It was a Mario Kart style game that you could if you had 3 hits before you like your cart fell apart, but you could like pick up rockets and mini game style kart game, and it had like I think 10 levels to it, and it was
Oh, wow.
atrocious to play.
Really, really short game.
Yeah, real short game, real quick Grand Prix, build a cart, go at it.
I like it. I like it.
But so I always did I remember playing a lot of Pokemon, of course. I remember sitting for hours with Hey You Pikachu for the 64.
I don't remember that one at all. I don't think we had
Uh,
that.
do you know what Hey You Pikachu is? Like,
No.
oh, oh,
I guess I should play it. I don't
Hey,
know.
Hey You Pikachu was this really like it was a spin-off game, of course, and it came with an adapter for your controller that you would plug in your plug it in, and then you'd put your memory cartridge in it because that fucking Trident controller. We're like, we're gonna put the memory card in the controller because why not?
Yeah.
Um, and the
Probably for
whole
the inputs.
probably, and then the whole purpose of the game was you're at Professor Oak's house, and he's like, "Here's this Pikachu. Go out and play with it." And you would yell at Pikachu to do things, and so you just sit there and be like, "Hey, Pikachu," and he's supposed to run up to you or use Thunderbolt. The commercials. I remember the commercials more than I do the game, and of course, early '90s commercials, wild as
Oh,
hell.
they were so good. They
And
were so good. I loved them.
And so you sat there and half of the gameplay screaming at Pikachu because he couldn't understand you because you're a child.
That's really funny. I never knew they came out with that game. I just remember like Let's Go Pikachu or whatever on like GameCube where to explore
Uh,
as like you were the
the
Pokemon basically.
the Pokemon, I know that one,
It
and
wasn't
then
Let's Go Pikachu. That's the Switch
the
one. That's the remake.
Pokemon Channel.
Yeah.
So Pokemon Channel is technically the spiritual successor to Hey You Pikachu.
Okay, there was a worse
There
beta
there was
version.
a worse beta version. Uh, but yeah, I remember Hey You Pikachu, and then um, original Paper Mario. I remember sitting there for hours with it too.
I only played Paper Mario on the Game Boy. They came out with a copy to play on the Game Boy. And whether or not that was like pirated, I'm not really sure
I
because
think
I
that's
didn't buy it at GameStop.
I think that's pirated, my dude.
It worked. It was good. I never actually played the whole game. I got distracted and never finished it.
I know they did. It wasn't a part of the Paper Mario series, but they continued the RPG series with Mario and Luigi for the Game Boy.
Oh, okay. It was probably one of them. I don't know. I stole a lot of games from my cousins that were like done with them, and they would just give me the cartridge, and then I end up playing them for hours.
So that
Clear all their save files real quick, and play a new game.
so I'm guessing the Game Boy was your first handheld then.
Game Boy was my first handheld system, yes. The old Game Boy that was like a
The
big
brick.
brick
Yep.
it didn't fold. It was just one big hard piece of like semi-clear plastic that only played in black and white. And it was before the Game Boy SE, which was like the slim edition that like
Yeah.
opened up, and that was still a brick,
Yeah. That was
even
the
though it was like this thick.
you had because you had the Game Boy, then you had the Color, and then you had Advance, and then you had the SP. I never had the
Yeah.
SP.
The SP was pretty good. I had the so I started on the black and white one, and I did my first run through a Pokemon Red ever
Oh,
that I
wow.
stole from my stepbrother. And I cleared his save and did a new run. So then I was playing on this really crappy, like definitely the cheapest one I could buy because we didn't have a lot of money growing up from GameStop. That was like kind of busted, but like you could still play on it.
Yeah.
And they sold you for like too much money anyways. And then I played on that for a while until eventually the Game Boy Advance came out, and then they made those cheaper than the Game Boy Color that was like sideways. So I ended up getting one of those. I asked for that for Christmas for like a full calendar year before they gave it to me. But I loved that one. There was like this SpongeBob game on that one that was really fun. Like it was like that and Danny Phantom. For some reason they put two games on one cartridge, which like not
Yeah.
complaining because it was fun.
Yeah, they Cartoon Network did the same thing with Powder Puff Girls and there was one other. I think it was Dexter's Lab. They did a
Yeah,
co-op
yeah,
game
yeah.
like that.
Exactly. They did all of them like that.
Darn you, cartoon companies making us have 2 games in one.
Yeah, I didn't hate it. They did the Super Mario Bros. 3, and then like you could also play the original
Original.
like arcade style Super Mario Bros. I thought that was cool. They should bring those back instead of making us pay $1 billion for 15 DLCs that aren't that worth it.
We'll get that conversation later. Ooh, buddy. That is that is a touchy subject too. Oof. Because you have games that are either worth it right out of the gate, or you have a game that's decent, and you're like, man, I can't wait for the DLC for more content, and then you have 15 DLCs that half of them are just weapons, and the other half is just skins.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fallout.
Fallout, okay, Fallout starter DLC for New Vegas wasn't that bad. It's just all your weapons and stuff became bad too quickly, in my opinion, that they try to give you with as a starter.
Fair. That is fair. The only thing worth it out of those, in my opinion, were the caravan shotgun and, of course, the trusty canteen. Because if I don't
Yes,
have the
yeah.
trusty canteen telling me I've taken a sip and reminding me to hydrate, I mean,
How would you know? How would you know?
how would I know? I've been sitting here playing for 5 hours.
That's true. That's true.
Um, Surrounding back to the Game Boy and everything. Um, did you ever have experience with the link cables to trade?
Yes, we would trade Pokemon all the time. Pokemon, I think specifically like Emerald, we linked a lot for Emerald to trade stuff. But Pokemon Red and I forget what the other color was. I think there was
It
like
was
a
Ruby
blue
and
and yellow
Sapphire.
one.
Ruby and Sapphire should have been with Emerald.
No. I'm going back to Pokemon Red,
Okay. So it would have been
Fire
red.
Red, Leaf Green. I think they came out with a Pikachu yellow one, right?
For the original Game Boys, yes, because
Yeah, yeah.
so there are Pokemon Yellow, which was specifically Pikachu. That was Japan's version of Pokemon Green, which was
Okay.
technically harder because they made Pikachu an alternate option, and then they made it where you could get all 3 starters if you chose Pikachu, and it's the hardest
So
run.
we would just rig it so that way one person would just restart games all the time and they just choose a different starter and then we just get like 2 of each starter, one male, one female, and then we would just go and breed them
And then you
and then
charge kids
have
on recess for starters, right?
exactly. You're like, if you give me your best Bakugan, I'll give you a Charizard in Pokemon. And then you would trade, and like, I had a shiny Charizard. Like, that was like my pride and joy, was that I had like one of the first shiny Pokemon ever. And it was like a Gen 1 curse, it was like a 1 in it
Oh,
came out to almost a billion chance
yeah.
if you run the math correctly. And I have a shiny one, and everyone's mad that I have a shiny and they don't. And then it has the best stats because it's shiny, so I just wreck everyone with one Pokemon. They were so mad.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was so good. Good times in elementary school.
I was never allowed to take my Game Boy or my Game Boy Advance to school. It wasn't until about middle school I was allowed to start taking my DS to school, and I just
I
played it on the
don't
bus.
I don't think I was ever given permission. I'm pretty certain my parents thought that Pokemon was the devil, straight up Satan. I
Came from one of
forget
those
who
households.
the television preacher guy is or whatever that I don't know. He goes around, the video where he's like, wah, wah, wah. It's that guy.
Yeah.
And at one point, apparently, he had this whole in-depth sermon as to why Pokemon is ungodly, which is hilarious.
Oh, yeah. It's a great watch.
And if you look at it now, like the general population is not gonna be like, okay, Pokemon's the devil, right? So, but back then, when our parents didn't know what the internet was, they were like, oh my goodness, the demons,
This TV preacher's telling my kids that they're catching demons.
the demons inside the Game Boy are taking over your children.
God.
And meanwhile, we're just like, ah, cute little adorable Pokemon.
Now make a fight.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, teaching our kids dog pits at an early age.
Yeah. True, true,
Dog
true.
fight and cock rings. There we go. Right at the beginning.
Okay. True.
Um, my brain just completely shut down for
It's
5
okay.
seconds. I feel like I'm just going with the energy right now, and my brain was like, "There's a pause. Shut
There's
everything down for a moment."
Well, this is Larry the Cow. Uh,
Yeah.
for your brain to reset for a
But
second.
there we go.
Welcome in Larry to the podcast.
For audio only, Defend has a medium-sized inflatable cow that honestly I love looking over at the overlay and just seeing that he's like halfway in.
Yep. Yep. It's pretty
Um,
good. Pretty good.
so what console about I'd say late elementary, early middle school do you remember having the most time with? Like what console do you think defined your childhood?
That's rough, right? Because at that time we had the GameCube, we had the Wii, we had the original Xbox, and we had the first Nintendo DS. And I think they had just come out of the DSi, but I had just gotten like the original DS. So like that's a really complicated question because the GameCube I was playing like Mario Kart and like Zelda Ocarina of Time, and but like on my DS I think it wasn't Spirit Tracks yet. Phantom Hourglass had just come out. I loved Phantom Hourglass, one of the best Zelda games to ever exist
One
in
of the
my
best
opinion.
and most underrated.
True, for sure. I thought Spirit Tracks was great too. Some people didn't like Spirit Tracks. I just like that you could customize the train. I thought that was great. At that point, we did not get to Pokemon Black yet. So it would have been Diamond and Pearl had just come out, which is like after you had played like X and Y, or was that X and
No,
Y was before, right?
X and Y's later. We're
After?
we're still
Okay.
we're still with colors for a long
Oh,
while.
oh, that's right. That's right. That's right. So I know. Okay, we definitely had Diamond and Pearl because I had both of them, and I had Dialga and Palkia like a boss, and I spent a lot of hours on that system. But then you had Wii Sports, um, but this was prior to Wii Sports Resort, which
Resort
is really important because Wii Sports Resort had a bunch of new fun games.
and,
However, Wii
and the
Sports was
Motion
also Wii.
Plus, and it had
Yeah,
the Wii
yeah,
Motion
exactly.
Plus.
With the balance board too.
Oh yeah,
But
hate that
that
balance
didn't
board.
come out yet. So the Super Mario Bros. Wii had just dropped, so we were playing that like heavy. Like that was a very early Wii game. And then Donkey Kong Country had just come out, but this is prior to Epic Mickey because Epic Mickey was late Wii.
I love this. I feel like I need the
The chart.
always sunny meme of Charlie with all the red lines and the board going everywhere.
Oh, explaining
That's just you right now.
explaining God's existence. I love that episode. um But then on the original Xbox, you have Halo Combat Evolved and Halo 2 had just come out. But this is prior to Halo 3, and then 360 had Halo Reach, right? Um, but we spent hours with so whenever I was at my friend's house, we were playing Halo Combat Evolved or Halo 2 and just doing playthroughs, trying to get the whole way through a legendary playthrough and failing miserably and getting yeeted by hunters all the time. But then on my own time, like my time away from my friends, I'm on the DS for sure or the Wii. And then the GameCube just holds a special place in my heart because they came out with so many good games for the GameCube and really like made that an immersive player experience that I was like, wow, that's a really good console. But I'd say that's more early education I played that than I would be like middle school. So I'd probably say the Nintendo DS and or the original Xbox would be my two.
For me, I split it between like major like home consoles. I'll start there because I always count my handhelds, but my handhelds were one of those things that I didn't spend like I spent time on, but I didn't spend copious amounts of time on. My two were the GameCube and the PlayStation 2. That is where my
Oh,
time is split between like most of elementary up to like middle school for me.
you just awakened a memory I had entirely forgotten about, the PlayStation 2. But we only ever played one game. What was that Nickelodeon show with all the barn animals? There
Back
was
at the
like a
Barnyard.
cow. Yes, they came out a game for the PlayStation 2, and the only game I really ever played on the PlayStation 2 was that game. And all I remember is we had like this mission to like churn butter, and that was like the most lucrative mission to get the most coins. So like I was just like milking this cow to have a bunch of milk to go churn butter, but then you could buy the coolest things in the game because you got the highest reward, and it would just let you keep doing it. So
That's
we had all this
great.
stuff, but
So for me, like my big games for GameCube were Luigi's Mansion, for sure. Luigi's Mansion is solid. It is one of my favorite Nintendo games still to this day.
it's up there.
Um, Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, of course, which I want to get it on my Switch, and I need to get a capture card because that's the first game I'm streaming on my Switch for sure. Since they came out the remaster, and of course Smash Brothers Melee, like
Smash Bros.
Smash
Smash
Bros
Bros.
is solid.
Smash Bros was like everyone's. That's always a community favorite, right? Like you can't go wrong with
Mhm.
Smash Bros.
And then you have and that's like for me that was one of my first introductions to competitive community, like
But were
Melee.
you? Who was your main? Who was your main?
For Melee, as a kid, was Roy. For
That
Melee now, I'm a cheap Mario main because he's easy and he's balanced.
okay, okay. I always had been a fan of just like Kirby, just using Kirby all the time.
Kirby's solid.
But I hate Kirby in like the new Ultimate Smash Bros or whatever. But I don't I think they changed his mechanics too much. But as a child, I would always play Kirby and just consume people and then like throw them off the edge.
Ah, you're a cheap player. Got it. Heard.
I'm a really cheap player. That's how I played as a child because if you won, you were then the coolest kid, right? So I
Yeah.
had to like just beat everyone. So
And
I
then
just
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I would just consume them, throw them off the cliff, and they would be so mad.
At least you're not Donkey Kong picking them up, running off the edge, and then throwing them, and then up smashing to just helicopter
Come
your way
back.
back up.
Yeah.
Because that's when it
That's
becomes a
pretty
real
funny.
dick move. uh,
True, true.
and then for PlayStation, I remember the most was Ratchet and Clank, Sly Cooper, and Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Battlefront 2 was good. Did you use the cheat codes in the menu to get like activate all like the cheats and get like unlimited money and like invulnerability and be Yoda and stuff?
No,
That was the best part.
me and my brother used to play the underrated mode of Galactic Conquest. We would
Okay,
we would sit there and do Galactic Conquest over and over again.
that the arena where they like just keep spawning in, or was
No,
that like the
that
spaceships?
it's the strategy mode. So it has the galactic map, and you have like the little spots for each of the planets and everything, and you either choose the Clone Wars or the Rebels era, and
Okay.
you have ships that would signify like your frigates or your destroyers, and you'd travel from planet to planet, and you'd either fight. If you had two ships match up, it was a space battle, and if whoever wins that, yours gets to stay, the other one's gone. And then if you went to an enemy planet, you did that map for a land fight.
So you never played the arena mode?
Um, not I didn't do any of the custom battles. I did go through the story mode, but we did mostly Galactic Conquest.
Yeah, me and my friend would just do like the infinite arena and just see how far we could go. We never played. You're basically saying you played like Civ 1
Pretty
inside
much,
of
yeah.
Battlefront 2.
Pretty much, yeah. and it was a full mode dedicated to it. I mean, how could we not? I
So
mean,
the only similar game that I played like that is, do you know the game Red Alert? I used to be obsessed with that game.
yes, Command and Conquer Red
Yeah,
Alert.
ooh, that's the best one.
Oh my gosh, I didn't get to play it as much as I wanted to. So this actually
I
gets to go into some of my next things of gaming because I'm a big RTS fan. Like you see me playing RimWorld, Civ every once in a while. The most I have memories with Command and Conquer is watching my cousin play it.
okay.
And then I grew up playing with both him and my brother in LAN parties when we're sitting there with three computers hooked up together in the living
Yeah.
room.
Yeah.
Yeah, old school style. Um,
These
and
kids don't even visit each other anymore. They
no,
just
they have
connect online.
they have it too good.
Yeah,
But
they really do.
but we did Age of Empires, and more specifically Age of Mythology.
Okay, okay.
But
So
but I know my
we would
Command and
play.
Conquer.
Yeah, we play a lot of Red Alert 2 Command and Conquer, and I think that's the first game I played where I didn't have to go to my friend's house to like connect with them online, but then we didn't have Discord, so we'd have to actually call on like the home phone and have to like talk to each other with
Yes.
like a brick basically. Like the
Yeah.
size of my home phone was probably the size of this water
Oh
bottle. Like I'm
yeah.
not even joking. Audio listeners love you to death. We're stealing that from Chuckle Sandwich. This is a really this is a corksicle water bottle, which is and it's the 22 ounce. So that'll give you a general size. You have Google and you're smart people, so you can look that up yourself. But anyways, that's how big the phone usually was. So you'd just be sitting there, and then your grandma would call or something, and your mom be like, "I need the phone back." Meanwhile, you're teaming up with your buddy on Command and Conquer, and you're trying to take out the same common enemy. Even though I've already made enough blimps by the time they realize I've done it to take out the whole map, but because I always chose Soviet Union, it was the best option. Trust me. Um, and
Good
then they
choice,
just could never.
comrades.
What?
Good choice, comrades.
Yeah, exactly. So I they would never make enough marksmen to take down all the blimps, and then I just take down all their tanks. So anyway, I didn't need the phone anymore. I was just mad because we were, talking about what's going on in the game, and we didn't have Discord. But
So before the time of TeamSpeak, I used to do the same thing, but not with RTSs or phone games. Mario Kart 8 on the Wii.
I actually never owned. I don't think is Mario Kart 8 just the Mario Kart Wii version, or is
Yeah.
it Mario Kart 8 specifically?
Oh no, sorry. That would have been Super Mario Kart. Super Mario Kart Wii.
That
There.
I did have.
Yeah.
The 8 one was Wii U.
Yeah. So with Super Mario Kart, we used to do um, party lines on our home phones, which again, mine was
Yes.
about the size of a brick as well. And you just have a bunch of us kids in middle school yelling at each other over Mario Kart at like nine at night.
That's good. That's the best way to do it, honestly.
And I think like it's moments like that I really remember growing up with games that I don't think a lot of people anymore realize. Like
Right.
or LAN parties. Like you talk about Halo. One of my big forays with Halo was Halo 3. And I went to go pick up my brother one time, who was at a giant Halo party the night before. And they're like, "Hey, my mom and their mom were talking because they were church friends or whatever." And so they're like, "Hey, come upstairs and play a couple rounds with us." And I'm sitting here in a room filled with 360s being like, "What is this? What is this glorious moment right now?"
Yeah.
And I don't think kids get that anymore. And I say
Yeah.
kid like I'm some old geezer, but I'm only 26. I mean,
We're pretty much our old compared to like the youngest gamer right now. Think about this. Like the youngest gamer has to be like, 3 years old. Like he probably grows up with it. Um and they'll never know what a LAN party really is unless they intentionally throw it themselves.
Yeah.
So, which is kind of sad in a way because like
And
some of the best memories is that social interaction, eating pizza and drinking Mountain Dew until 2
God
a.m.
knows when, yeah.
Yeah, till the sun comes back up trying to beat Halo Reach because it just came out, or Borderlands 2, and just running through the whole game.
Well, and then like following that off of LAN parties, midnight releases.
Yeah.
What was the last midnight release you went to?
Um, Pokemon Black, I think. I think that was the last one.
I think
Uh,
so. Mine's a little newer than yours. The last midnight release I went to was No Man's Sky.
oh wait, Borderlands 3. Borderlands 3. But I don't think I had to go anywhere. I just had to
See,
wait for it to download.
I'm not counting those because those I've done thousands of now. But like the original experience of going to a GameStop
Right.
an hour before midnight, you're sitting there standing in
Oh
line.
my god, how am I so dumb? I did it for Tears of the Kingdom. I did it for
Yeah,
Tears of the Kingdom to get the physical copy.
nice. But like, I don't think kids understand that midnight release. Like, those were some of the scariest and best times as a gamer.
Yeah, you had a whole line because like Pokemon Diamond and Pearl when they released, you could get like I think it was Celebi
It
or
was Celebi and a plushie
yeah,
because I
yeah,
don't have the
yeah.
plushie anymore.
They ran out of the plushies by the time I got there every time. But if you connected to their Wi-Fi, you would get the Celebi, and then you would have a level 50 Celebi right off the bat, and then you couldn't use him properly until like halfway through the game, but you had him.
You had them,
As a last resort, unless he damaged himself and ended his own life, you were great. You were great through every gym.
but like I don't like missing that anymore is crazy to me because like
Yeah.
that was even for like No Man's Sky, which God they got pulled through the ringer right out of the gate. I hate that for I hate the release for No Man's Sky because I think a lot of people were very unfair to the game. But just sitting there with a bunch of just random yahoos at my local GameStop, sitting in line, and then half
Yeah.
the lines in the door, half the lines not out of the door. And that was one of my first midnight releases. I was first in line too. I think I was there at 10:30. Like it was maybe
I
an hour after they closed.
I would never wait that early. I'd always be in the back of the line, and then whatever they were giving out with it, like a Pokemon card or whatever, I never got it because I was always in the back of the line. But
But yeah, PlayStation was a big one, and then I didn't get into PC gaming until about high school, and even then, it wasn't specifically me most of the time. Ironically, it was my mom. My mom did a lot of our PC gaming in the house,
nice.
and it was either Virtual Villagers or Roller Coaster
Okay.
Tycoon. Roller,
Roller Coaster Tycoon's pretty solid game.
which
You were playing that the other day.
I was playing it the other day. I was playing some today as well, and like, but those games, Zoo Tycoon, like the original Zoo Tycoon, where you could get the aquarium and the dinosaurs.
Yeah, my mom would play what's that kitchen game with that lady that always wears pink? It's
Cooking
like
Mama.
Cooking Mama. She loved Cooking Mama. Every Cooking Mama game, she bought that. She loved that. Uh my mom we had this like really old Windows XP desktop, but then when I was younger, I actually took another Windows XP desktop that my grandpa was getting rid of. And I just took all the good parts out of it and put it into our computer. So our computer only started with like I think it was like 8 gigabytes of RAM, two 4 gigabyte sticks, which is really bad.
Yeah,
Uh, Dual channel RAM didn't exist. There was no dual channel RAM. So we I took the RAM out of theirs and put it into ours. I took their extra storage and put it into ours, so we run out of storage. So my first like fake PC build was just me Frankensteining these two together so we could run like Minecraft in like 480p and lag out of the game every 10 minutes. And we could play Cooking Mama and some uh we had some like excavator game where it'd be like Bob the Builder game, but there was like something that would attach to your keyboard and you could like cook there was like another cooking one too. It was like some
What?
Fisher Price video game, but that was like really early on. But yeah, my mom got into gaming a little bit, but I'd say that she probably didn't get in. I don't know how deep your mom was into
Oh,
gaming.
mom. So my mom got into the Harvest Moon series hardcore, like extremely hardcore for it, because she used to quilt all the time. She didn't fully work, and so to just keep her mind active and everything, she'd play the Harvest Moon series. And then me and my brother got her hooked on Stardew. And
Wow.
and the funniest thing like that is I still have my mom's Stardew save file attached to my Steam account, and it has over like 500 plus hours.
That's hilarious.
And it's
My
just
mom
like,
will play on when the DS, she got her own DS when that came out. So she stopped using the computer basically, but she would get the Brainium games that were just like Sudoku and
yeah,
a bunch of other puzzles.
the Brain Age
And
games, yeah.
yeah, she'd play a lot of that, and then Nintendogs. When I was done playing Nintendogs, after my 10 chihuahuas probably died from never being fed, may they rest in peace. Um, she cleared. Actually, didn't have to clear. She just made a new save file because that one you could make a separate one on the DS. So she made her own save file, and then she played Nintendogs for hours.
Um, I find
Dude,
it,
my chihuahua, he was a high performer. When you
yeah.
did the little frisbee game, he caught it every time, and he made me a lot of money.
I never got into Nintendogs. That was one I always skipped out on. Um, my One of my vivid memories of my Nintendo DS was we used to take him. Me and a bunch of buddies used to take him to church all the time, and
Right? That's what we did.
we'd sit him in the back pews, and we'd just sit there and play, and then we'd get yelled at every once in a while because we'd be laughing too hard because we're kids, we're playing games. Uh, I remember when Guitar Hero came out for the
Oh
DS,
yeah.
and I'm sitting there playing it with no sound on, hitting the buttons, flicking it with the pick stylus that it had, and then we get in
That's
arguments
good.
about either Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon on the DS during church.
Oh, they came out with a Bakugan game
I remember
for.
the Bakugan game.
It was so bad. It
It
was
was,
horribly programmed. It was awful.
but it was
You
still
throw
so much
out,
fun.
yeah, yeah. You throw out Drago though, and you're like, oh man, I got Drago, and then it's just like terrible.
Uh, I'm trying to think
And
of
it'd
what.
like bug out. That was the original Scarlet and Violet bad performer game.
um, what was your first MMO?
uh, Remind me what MMO stands for. I'm blanking.
Massive multiplayer online.
League of Legends.
Buddy, I'm sorry.
It was League of Legends. Um, Either that or whatever the robot arena game was on the Xbox. I'm forgetting it's called. Unreal Championship, the first one, just the
Yeah.
first one. And then Halo I was online for that, but I guess my first MMO RPG is League of Legends. My first MMO would be Halo, I think.
Do we count League of Legends as an RPG though? Because isn't it its own?
Yeah,
Isn't its own classification of MOBA? Isn't that where MOBA
I
started?
guess. But all the characters have their own lore now, so it's like, I don't know.
Fair. I remember my first one was Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Okay, that was a decent game. I didn't play much of the Star Wars games, but my friend like owned all of them. I probably have like Battlefront over in the container of my 100 Xbox games just sitting over there. But
Um,
uh,
I remember playing SWOTOR on my shitty laptop that we used to have, and we specifically had to go buy one of those like slightly tilted um um like fan coolers, and It's because I actually got burned on my legs because it would heat our laptop up so badly.
Oh, did you have like the liquid cooled ones?
No,
Like the old.
it just because the with the old type of laptop I had, it just had the battery right on the bottom, and so
Oh,
it
that you
just
could like disconnect with like the little connector?
yeah, and so before we got the little like air fan set thing, I'm sitting there with it on my lap, and I had like two giant red marks across my knees, and
That's
it
fair.
burned. Like I'm pretty sure it was like a first degree burn. I'm like, this is my life. This is a memory as a gamer.
Laptops used to be like so thick. We didn't really have laptops. We only had desktops really growing up until I got my school laptop. And then I installed Minecraft on it, even though we weren't allowed to on my school laptop because it ran better than the XP desktop. And then I got called to the principal's office because I hacked my own laptop. So it
What?
wasn't really hacking. They didn't have much security on it, so that's their problem.
I mean, I can't say much for my school security. We had a kid who in high school started working for the IT, like they started working for our school's IT group, and I'm out in the middle of like BFE Ohio, by the way, like I literally the hills, and the reason they hired him is because he broke through every firewall our school had in a class period.
It only took me using Notepad to get through our school's security system and saving it as a batch file, and it was only 30 lines of code.
Oh,
So
that hurts.
realistically, they didn't have any security at all. It was so bad. Anyways,
I'm thinking because my brain wants to go through like all so many different things of thought, and I also just looked down. And it's only been an hour. I'm like, oh wow, we are making
we're
both.
cooking. We got
We're
some time.
cooking.
We get through all the topics
Um, what's a genre you don't touch anymore?
of game.
Yeah, genre of game that you refuse to touch anymore, and
I don't
why?
really like I don't really like tall tale games that are like really heavy storytelling and no interaction, and I think it's because I get really bored really fast with cutscenes. So when the whole game is just one big cutscene, I'm just like, it was okay, it was all right, but I don't really touch those much anymore. I'd rather something I can like interact with because I like, in a way, I kind of like speed running games just to see how fast I can get through. If I really like a game, I like to see how fast I can complete it, which is really dumb. But if but when you get to a certain point with like a or a tall tale game, you can't really speedrun it other than just skipping all the cutscenes, and then most of the time there's not much gameplay, so you're just in the next part of the story anyway.
No, that's fair. I see. I think this question's weird for me too because like I don't think I have any that aren't like I won't touch because I'll play about anything. As you said earlier, like you'll give a game about a third away playthrough and be like, and stuff like that. And it's like I think the one that comes closest, and I blame our wonderful cabin leader Gab for making me not making me, but making me feel like I had to re-download it, and that's like Dark Souls like games because
Oh, okay.
I re-downloaded Elden Ring.
Those are right up my alley. I love those.
See, I enjoy playing them for a bit. I enjoy that grind. I enjoy that challenge. Elden Ring is the first game I ever had that I actually broke a controller over. And that's just because I got so pissed that and it wasn't even I threw it. I went to go set it on the coffee table and I let go before I was actually over the coffee table and it just hit the coffee table right and then hit the floor and I was like, "Oh, crap."
Elden Ring is a perfectly balanced game with absolutely no exploits whatsoever.
You say it with the straightest of face for our audio viewers.
Yes, yes, of course.
I
Of
am
course.
interested in their DLC though, mostly just for fighting monk combat.
I haven't. See, I play Elden Ring, and then it just makes me want to be playing Skyrim. So I haven't put that many hours into Elden Ring. I beat it like twice, and then I've been like, okay, there are some loops you can do, kind of like Skyrim with like the enchanting loop, that you can just become super overpowered and walk straight through the game. But most of the time I prefer Skyrim over Elder Scrolls. I know that might be a hot take, but it's, both games are keeping me content until Elder Scrolls 6. So
Yeah.
we love them both.
Um. See, for Elder Scrolls, for me, I like Skyrim. I have a lot of good memories of Skyrim. I was a midnight release for Skyrim actually, and I got the collector's edition of the uh, strategy guide, which is another thing kids don't know about anymore.
Yeah, they don't make those anymore.
No, they don't. And
There was a strategy guide for Minecraft.
there's like three of them because they keep adding stuff. And I'm like, oh, time to make more money by putting this book out. But
Yeah.
Skyrim, I played it for 4 days straight, and I will honestly reveal on this podcast, like I peed in a 2 liter in some of those days,
Oh
and
my
like,
god.
and so I went to one of my friend's birthday parties, like full on. I played from the day it came out, from the time I got home to my friend's birthday party, and it was just me, her, and like one of our other friends, and we're sitting there waiting for other people to show up, shooting the shit, and I'm sitting there, and I hear in my mind's eye and my hysteria of playing this game for almost 3 days straight, the dragon rule. And I literally get up and push my chair back and like look around for a moment. And they're like, Caleb, what the fuck?
Dude, you with us, bro? You with us?
I'm like, it's fine. Everything's fine. Picks up the lawn chair and sits back in it. But
Yeah, that's when you've gone a little too deep into the game.
that's when games become a little bit too much. And then, but my favorite Elder Scrolls game is Oblivion.
That's fair.
So like,
That's the one with you could combine the spells, right? Or
you
is that
could
Morrowind?
you could create spells in both Morrowind, and then Oblivion. But Oblivion perfected it. I've been doing an Oblivion playthrough on Twitch and stuff, and it's been so nostalgic because after the PlayStation, we got an Xbox 360. Oblivion was one of the first games I got full achievements on.
I got all the achievements on Skyrim. The first time I played Skyrim was on the Xbox 360 when it came out with the Skyrim edition. And then my parents bought me for it. Ironically, my parents are separated. My dad did not want me playing Skyrim, and my mom thought the game was really cool. So we had two separate teachings from these two separate people. And meanwhile, I just loved the game. And every time if I was playing at my dad's house, I'd bring my whole Xbox 360 and I hook it up to the TV. He'd be like, "What are you playing?" I just lie. I'd just be like, "Oh, this is like this new game," and then he'd look up the new game on his phone or computer and be like, "Oh, okay." And it just wasn't. It was Skyrim every time. He just never questioned it. So I got away with playing Skyrim. Kind of the same ideology with the Pokemon with him was he thought, but this time there are actually,
Demons,
to his credit, there are actual demons and witches and sorcerers in the game. So, this one's more understandable if you are truly into that thing. So it was just really funny. But
with Oblivion, like I got talking about it like my first one because I started it up after I finished Fallout 4, which I know you saw a couple episodes of whenever I was streaming it.
yeah.
With Oblivion, there's just this big thing of nostalgia with me, and I think if they would have done a couple of things that they did in Oblivion and brought them over to Skyrim, I would have been golden. I would have
Well,
been rock solid. And I know
they're
exactly.
bringing
I know
all
it.
the
Yep.
they're bringing all the good stuff from those two games and all the good stuff from Skyrim and putting them in 6, and I'm so excited.
If we get the lock picking system in Oblivion in Elder Scrolls 6, I will shit bricks. Full moldable, stackable, buildable bricks will come out
I'm
my
holding
butt.
you to that.
Yeah,
I'm holding you to that.
dude. Because
I'll
like,
come over and I'll build a house out of it.
because like Oblivion to me, being able to create your own spells, fantastic.
Right.
Being able to enchant pretty much any weapon, like Skyrim did it a little bit easier, and that's just because the UI is not as abysmal. Like that's the one downside to Oblivion I'll give it. Its UI is terrible.
Yeah, yeah.
But the enchanting I thought was better because you could put more enchantments on one weapon easier in Oblivion, and the lockpicking. Give me the clicky clack actual tumbler lockpicking any day of the week.
I didn't think it was like, I don't know. I didn't mind either lock picking, but I did like when you could see the tumblers and stuff, but I really liked the combination spells. That's where I really played around in Oblivion. But not many people went that route. Some people were, everyone plays these games differently. Some people want to just be an assassin or whatever, and I for whatever weird reason, and then I'm always like, I want to be the archmage and just destroy everything with fire. So I always built the spells, and I felt like the fire and lightning and ice combination, like getting them to be into one spell, was super nice, because then you could just make your tier system really cracked out on those three things, and you didn't really need anything else to just kill anything in the game.
Oh yeah.
Um, but Skyrim, I feel like the reason why they didn't bring that back was because of how glitchy Oblivion was with it. So I think they're doing so much work, and that's why they keep extending the date, is because they just want everything to actually run for once. Bethesda, none of your games run correctly, you might as well just release it. But
You're
they
not
will,
wrong, as I'm currently doing a Starfield playthrough again, and it's
right? It's always buggy. There's always something that's broken, and if you punch the wrong thing, it'll always make a whole village attack you. So
you're
you
not
might as
wrong.
well you might as well just give us the game and let us start breaking it now, so you know what to fix. But anyways, they keep delaying it. I understand that they're trying to transfer to a new Unreal Engine as well. They were considering transferring it to the newest one because they've been working on it so long. They came out with the new Unreal Engine, but I think if they do that and they get it to work really well, I think we'll get the release a little sooner. But I'm really excited for more games like that. I didn't really play Starfield at all, surprisingly. I just really get
Starfield
around to it yet, though.
Starfield isn't bad. I like the things I like about Starfield. A, it takes place in our timeline. Like it takes place in our world, and the idea that we went to space. That's cool. I love that. Give me
Yeah,
good sci-fi like that.
like Doctor Who.
Yeah.
I would just build a TARDIS. I've already been thinking about this.
And then, like, of course, the one strong thing that I've always felt like they've done well, especially with like Fallout 4 and New Vegas, even though New Vegas is more ZeniMax than it is Bethesda, their companions are solid. They're fun. They're a good time to be with, even the ones that are like made to be kind of hateable. The only one I don't
Yeah.
care for is Sam Cole, which I hate with the playthrough I'm doing on stream, is he's gonna be my main companion, and that's just because I'm a good-hearted cowboy folk from Space West, and I've got a daughter that's the most annoying thing on your ship.
Yeah.
But it's like they did those really well. Combat plays well, in my opinion. I know there's a whole big hubbub about Starfield's combat system.
I
And
saw someone made like a grid that, like, they didn't put sides. They just kind of made like a grid and then like one little box, and it just spun around. But nothing could ever, like, the auto targeting could never shoot the ship. It would just go through because they would go for center mass. They put the center mass in the middle, so they never got hit and they were invincible. That was great.
that's not a bad idea. And like shipbuilding, they downgraded the system from like the village building in Fallout 4, and that's what they did for
Okay.
their shipbuilding. It works. It works fantastically. Why didn't we do that for the outpost building on actual planets? No. Like that's my
I
Go ahead.
built the worst village in every Fallout that I had to like build a village or whatever. It was always the worst thing ever. It hardly functioned. It was always raided, and I had like 4 people I like saved, and that was it. And I didn't care about the village at all. I was just going in the vaults, just finding what's in the vaults and leaving. I
Yeah.
didn't care about the village.
Well, see, like, so then we get on my cons for Starfield, and it's like settlement building is garbage. Like they could have retrofitted the hell out of that because they did for an update for Fallout 4 anyways. Where did we not learn? Like what did we not learn from
Well,
there to there?
two different teams of developers, so
Fair. I'll give you that one. Um, and then my computer is not the beefiest thing in the world. I will admit that. Do I need to upgrade my graphics card? Probably.
what are you running?
It's so I bought a pre-built PC from Walmart
Oh
a
yeah,
couple years ago. I learned that they gypped me on GPU.
everything. They
Uh,
chip you on
no,
everything.
actually, like a lot of my stuff is like a lot of the stuff that was there pretty decent. I learned when I went to go take it apart and add more GPU to figure out what type of sticks I needed. I was supposed to have 2 8s to make a good solid 16. I had a single 8 gig of RAM in this thing.
Just in there,
Just in
chilling.
there. And I'm just like, well, no wonder my thing is running like dog shit right now. So I shoved 2 16s in there and fixed that red wagon. But so the graphics card that came with it is I believe it's a GeForce 1660 Super.
Okay, I mean that's not
Uh,
terrible.
it's not
It's just old.
it's not terrible. It's old. I can run Baldur's Gate fine. I can clock a lot of my games 1080p, 60 frames per second, and it's running smooth.
Yeah.
Starfield runs like absolute garbage. Anything over low. If I turn anything above low, it absolutely tanks. And I'm just
I,
like, what is this game? Why is it not optimized?
I can't comment because I'm running like 12th gen stuff. I got a 3060 Ti in this thing's. It's running 3 monitors right now.
I'm surprised I run two half the damn time, but that's beside the point. But like, so like with Starfield, it has those moments where it's just like, buddy, what? Like I played it without streaming it my first playthrough, and it was manageable. But now that I'm wanting to do like a full playthrough, and it looks decent on stream, I'm sitting here and I'm just like, this could look so much better. And
Yeah, no.
that's the biggest crux for Starfield for me right now, and streaming it because I'm like, this could be so much better.
I mean, 3060s are dipping in price because of the 4060s and 4080s.
Oh, okay, you both know I just got a new job, and
Yeah,
I will
yeah.
literally disclose I have 15 cents to my name as of right now. I'm waiting for my check to come in. I have like
Okay,
no
okay.
money. I'm still trying to get my
I
bill straightened out.
I don't have another one sitting around, otherwise I'd just like ship you one. But
I
because
appreciate that thought.
I build PCs, so I normally have some extra parts, cables, power supplies, but I've used all my graphics cards now, so I gotta wait.
So now I know who to message when I go to rebuild my hunk of junk that sits over here in the corner. It's
Hey, I'll help
reliable
you.
junk, but it's junk. And then, oh, also when I first opened it for the first time, I had an extra. I shoved a 2 terabyte SSD in it because I had an extra one lying around, and then I also
You
had
just
it was I was upgrading because I also have a solid state drive as an external. I was
right.
upgrading the one that I have in my external, so I could take it with me to college and everything. And so when I got the computer and I was opening up, I was like, "Oh, hey, I can just shove this in here. That's nice." And then after college, I was like, "Oh, my solid state drive. That's a that's on the side. it just gets to be plugged in by a USB on top, and it just sits on top of my computer that way.
It just lives here now.
Yeah. So I've got like an extra 4 terabytes of everything on here.
Hey,
Space is not
that's
my
not
problem.
bad.
Space is not my problem. It's everything else.
Nice.
Uh,
Yeah, I have 2 discs. One of them's 4 terabytes. The other one's 10. So,
just smack me down with shame. Got it. Hurt.
and they're M.4, so they're just nicely on the motherboard. But
Oh, that does sound nice.
they're so much cheaper too for no reason. I don't get it, but I'm not complaining.
So, what makes Skyrim your favorite game?
It never gets old. There's never been a run of Skyrim where I've been bored. Right? Like, okay, maybe the start of the game's old now because I've seen it so many times. But after you get through the initial start of the game and you go out into the world, you generally can just choose to do whatever you want. Like, you can choose to be whatever character you want to be. So I've done the Dark Brotherhood playthrough. I've done the playthrough where you do the werewolf. I've done the playthrough where you do the vampire-ish run. It's they did vampires wrong in my opinion, but
The Vampire Lord sucked, in my opinion. They should have just gave us the regular vampirism that they had initially, and the vampire
yeah,
system from Oblivion, and we would have been fine.
exactly. So I don't like how they did the vampires, but the werewolves I thought they did great. Like, you just like tearing people apart was a great run through. I've done Archmage run through probably like 20 times now. I have over 90 save files of characters at
Jesus
max level.
Christ! God!
And that's just on my PC. I have over on my 360. I had like you could plug in a USB drive and do a
Yeah,
bunch of save files. And I probably have like 100 or so on there of just max level stuff. I wanted at one point I wanted to get through every single race and see what they did. And I was genuinely curious like which race would be more powerful. It turns out it doesn't really matter what race you choose at the beginning. Other than if you want to breathe underwater, it's really convenient to just go Argonian and then just like be a lizard person.
and then if you want to see
Um,
in the dark, play a Khajiit.
yeah, exactly. So doesn't really matter. But hey, it was fun, and I played differently each time. Um, but I like that they kept adding DLC. I don't know if you got the most recent anniversary edition with that new
Yes.
area.
Have not touched the new area yet.
They have some combined spells in there that are pretty sick with some new conjured uh creatures you can summon, which is fun. Everyone knows the Dremora Lord is the easiest thing to use in the entire game to just kill anything you're attacking, but they're fun. They're cute little summoned creatures, little dust tornado thingy. Um, I
Nice.
like the new area. There's a lot. So, and that's what I like about like Bethesda. Like, if you feel they feel like they've delayed the game too much, they'll give you a huge new area and like a $4 DLC to just like go and explore. So that's what I like about Skyrim is it just doesn't really feel like it gets old. You buy the DLC, you'll have a whole new storyline to explore. You can spend hours in like 3 dungeons, and there's like hundreds of dungeons in Skyrim. So that's what I like about Skyrim, and that's why it's my favorite game. I play it. It doesn't get old. I love it. I like maxing out characters. I can get to max level now in probably like 35, 40 minutes if I really tried hard enough.
Oh
Just by
wow.
doing the enchanting loop. The enchanting loop will get you to max level in anything real quick because you could just make your smithing 4,000% and then you can smith to the highest level and then you can get sneak to 4,000% with your enchantment and then just sneak once and you get to max level in that. It's great.
That's just broke. Like I'm
It
I'm
is
always
broken.
I'm always one for finding exploits in games because I like it when I stumble upon them. And I'm like, "Oh, that was neat. Let's see if I can do that again." Oh, I can do it again. Okay, here we go. Um
The only thing I don't like about the anniversary edition is they kind of nerfed the Whiterun chests. So you can go up in Whiterun, you go down the middle, and then you go up to the left, and then there's like this little thing near the outside wall, and if you sprint and jump fast enough, you can glitch yourself underneath the map. And once you're underneath the map, you can get the chest of all the vendors in Whiterun. And they now made it so you can't really jump out of it, and that really irritates me.
Can you fast travel out of it?
You can fast travel out of it,
See,
but it's really annoying. Because you could just be at the chest, and then you could wait 24 hours, and then you'd have all new items, so it just takes longer.
Yeah. They had in Starfield a similar the generic chest, because game builders got to build it the right way.
Yeah. Never mind. Keep going.
Yeah. And in Aquila City, which is Space West, basically, like that's the best way to explain that. It's the Freestar Collective. It's one of the factions, and it's Space West. It's the Wild West in space. That's the best way. And in the middle of their town, Space Cowboys, exactly. There used to be a puddle that you would walk to, and you just look down at the puddle, and if you was on like the top edge of it, it had the chest for all the vendors in town. They patched it by putting a rock there, like just a little rock in the walkway,
in the way,
and it's just like, Bethesda, really? This is what we're doing now? We're putting stones over things?
They patched it. They put stones over the one chest in a Dawn Guard.
But so we dealt with that, and that was a time. But like going back to like how you can say you can play Skyrim over and over again. I remember doing that. Is that pickle cotton candy?
It certainly is.
Oh god.
One of my favorite little snacks.
That sounds both great and terrible at the same time.
It's awful. It tastes so bad.
But that's where I go with Oblivion. Like Oblivion, I can play any day of the week. And especially now, like I jump on Oblivion, and I think it was your chat I rated out to one time, and I was like, I accidentally did a 7 to 8 hour stream one day, and you're like, well, how do you do that? I'm like, I just start playing.
It happens. Especially, that's what I'm saying, like Skyrim and those, like the Elder Scroll games, they just suck you in, and then all of a sudden it's been a whole calendar day, and then you're like, oh no.
Oh shit, I gotta go to work.
Yeah. Your alarm goes off next to you, and you're like, oh, 8 a.m. already.
Oh, buddy.
Oh boy.
So branching off of Skyrim and Bethesda, did you play Outer Worlds?
I don't think I did.
So it was made by ZeniMax, and it's their newest game that they did since they did New Vegas.
Okay. I didn't even know that.
Take capitalism and
Okay,
push it as far as you can.
All right.
Take that concept and just run it into the dirt, and as far as you can. That is the Outer World.
All right. Is the Dirt Man down here?
Yeah, of course he is.
Okay.
He's taking the dirt.
All right. I did leave a little dirt for him, so.
Good. He needs it.
He does.
Outer Worlds, I love it for that concept of alone of just taking capitalism and running it as far as you can, because like the first settlement you get to, one of the like first side quests you fall upon is you meet a guy that's digging graves outside of the town, and he's like, hey, can you track down this guy's next of kin? They gotta pay their so-and-so's grave bill. And you're like, wait, you're like, wait a minute, what? And he's like, yeah, they paid for it. They're paying off a grave, and they've missed a couple payments. If they don't pay it, we dig him back up and throw him to the wilds. And I'm just like, excuse me, capitalism, sir, calm down.
Do you watch Doctor Who at all?
Yes.
Okay, so you know, like the 12th Doctor, the one with the gray hair
Yeah,
before the woman.
Peter Capaldi.
Yeah. So he had an episode with the you remember the episode where they're all on the spaceship with like the zombie people and they were charging you for how much oxygen you
Yes.
were using? That's what that reminds me
And
of.
take that concept and apply it to pretty much everything in that world.
Okay,
And
okay.
then
And I have the game.
you have a game, and the
Is Doctor Who in the game?
I bet they probably have a reference. It wouldn't surprise me. It's space.
I love
Oh, excuse
I
me.
love Doctor Who. What a
I
good show.
are you caught up on the new season?
I have not watched any of the new season at all.
It's solid. Since
After
you're
the 13th Doctor, I've been kind of against whatever else they produce for Doctor Who, much like the rest of the world.
see, I skipped 13,
So
and
you saved yourself. It was
and
terrible. It
I
wasn't
want
good.
to go back and watch it just for the shits and giggles of it, and because they've made a couple references here and there to some of her stories that I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. But with this
Yeah.
season, it's been solid. Ruby is a fantastic companion. Um, my big thing with the new season though is like we've gotten a couple episodes, and I know Doctor Who gets weird. Like you can agree, Doctor Who gets weird, and you're like, what's going on?
I mean, like you can't forget about the moisturize me lady.
Okay,
The flesh
yeah. So
the flesh episode was creepy too.
we have a couple episodes where I sat there and I watched it, and I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? What is happening? Because like
Eh,
and like one of them specifically, and I know the internet's kind of like really on tandem with it as well. They're like, what was the point of this episode? Because it hasn't come up again. It technically ends up in its own time loop, and I'm just like,
okay.
but I'm also just like,
Well, but that's classic, right? Because they had a bunch of like, think about the Bad Wolf timeline where they were in an alternate reality, and then Rose's dad was like the big capitalist guy, and he owned a bunch of stuff, and then all the Cybermen came out. Like it's that's not unlike Doctor Who to have a standalone episode.
but
Or like
also
one with Vincent Van Gogh.
make this standalone episode specifically about a companion, and the Doctor shows up for a collective of maybe 5 minutes. He was at the
Oh, okay.
beginning and at the end of the episode.
Thank you, Vinny, by the way, for the drink.
Yes, much appreciated. I specifically made like a new scene collection for Joystick Journeys, so
I see that.
it doesn't have any of the blurp sounds coming on. So I'm like, oh hey, drink, let's drink. And I honestly did that somewhat on accident because I was thinking here before we started, and I was like, man, it's gonna be weird if someone just starts playing blurp sounds in the middle of this interview and stuff, and that's gonna be really weird for podcast. And I was like,
I,
we'll see what happens.
it would be funny. I like it, but anyways.
Somewhat professional. I keep it somewhat professional. I buttoned up my shirt today. I mean,
Wow, wow. I tried to look as accurate to the picture you used for your promotional.
did you like the one
Uh
I picked, by the way?
yeah, I like the one you picked. It was good. Actually, I have here.
Oh, there we
There
go.
we go.
There we go.
There we go. Now we're accurate. Now we're accurate.
Okay, so now that you put the glasses on, I've got to ask because I've been meaning to. What's the glasses thing? Like, why and how did that start?
So I really just decided I needed a brand of some kind. Um, Sam needs a red one. What is the red one?
A red pair of
Sorry,
glasses.
I'm addicted to reading your chat. I'm not even live right now.
The stream
But
you can take the stream out of the streamer, but you can't take the streamer out of the stream.
That's right. That's right. So the glasses thing started when I bought these as a bit, right? I bought a bunch of these glasses, and the whole bit was gonna be that I was just angry at the game I was playing. So then I would just break the glasses and then throw them off to the side, and then you'd look back after you're like shocked that this streamer who's generally calm, cool, and collected just broke his glasses and threw them off stream. And you look back, and I just pull out a new
The
pair,
pair.
and just put them on and just keep going. Well, then it ended up being a thing with the Streamlabs points that they wanted to redeem to add glasses. So
You
we
started adding glasses.
just kept adding glasses, and then I started buying different glasses and fancier ones. And now the whole thing is that my brand is that I wear random glasses, and one of them they picked out were these Luigi glasses on stream for the Amazon stream.
Yeah, how
Um,
much weird glasses did you get from the Amazon stream?
well, I got these Luigi glasses, right? And then they sent me these smart glasses. I don't know what the point of sending me these smart glasses were. But they have like audio and microphone and stuff built into them.
Oh, fancy.
I'll wear them. This microphone's better, I guarantee. And then they got me this giant box back here next to Larry the cow. And they sent me a whole box filled to the top of light up LED glasses.
Oh, wow.
So now I really don't have an excuse to be like, oh, I'm out of glasses, because they know I'm not out of glasses, and they light up like this.
That's great. I love that. So you've got glasses, I've got my shirt buttoned halfway all the time, most of the time.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
My deep V. Odin, as much as I appreciate the redeem, it will not be happening during Joystick Journey streams. I do not need Strahd conducting this interview. Much appreciated, though. I will redeem that next regular stream, which will be Friday. Jeez, it's gonna be so long. It's gonna be so long until I stream again.
Rip your 1,000 channel points, bro.
Worth a shot. Was worth a shot. Oh, trying to roundabout a way back to game. What? In a way, why'd you start streaming? I like asking people this question outside of stream most of the time, but now I can put you on the spot, and you have.
Why did I start streaming?
Yeah.
Well, I had been watching Schlatt and like Ludwig and Ted Nivison and all them for a while. And then they came out with the Chuckle Sandwich podcast. And then I realized that we're the same age, and I thought I was like mad old. Like I thought I was way too old to be streaming. So then I started like I didn't even actually have Twitch downloaded at that time. So I downloaded Twitch because I wanted to watch Slash stream. And that was the stream where he banned anyone who either had the name Steve or had done anything in the chat with Minecraft, which was hilarious. And that's like the day I was like, oh wait, I'm this dumb. I could do this too. So then I was like looking into streaming. What do I need to stream? So on and so forth. And I didn't really have much to stream with. So I kind of started with like the cheapest camera I could find. I started out with this microphone. This microphone actually ended up being a bang of a deal. This is only like $20, and it sounds great.
Heard that.
Off of Amazon, off of Amazon. And then this is the Fife-A-Night microphone, by the way. I'll link you. It's really decent. So if you're looking to get in with something cheap, it comes with an arm and everything. But yeah, I started streaming. I didn't even have a desk or monitor. I started streaming with my really crappy laptop and like using a cheap camera, this microphone, and a capture card. And I started streaming Zelda Breath of the Wild and Rocket League were my two games I was streaming because I could hook up my Xbox and I could hook up the Switch. And then I wasn't really consistent with it, and it wasn't until really like January that I decided that I wanted to like give it an actual shot and start streaming consistently. But I like played around with it for a little bit, just doing on and off streams. But I guess what really made me want to do it is my one friend is like a full-time content creator, and he's in that space. He doesn't really run any of his own channels anymore. He's kind of just an editor for some really big channels. Like I'm sure you've heard of the Sidemen. He does a bunch of editing for those videos.
Oh wow.
So he does some editing for another YouTuber that's like British. Um, moderates some of the streams. So he's like really big. He's known in the space. He just got like interviewed for another cooking channel, the Nick guy or whatever.
Okay.
And he was like, you should just try it out if you want to, do it. He's like, I'm like a kind of a timid person when I try something new. Like I want to know absolutely everything about it before I even hit, go live or anything. Or if I'm building something, I like to know, down to the dimension what I'm gonna do and then put it all together and kind of build it like it's IKEA furniture instead of being upset that it's not going together. um, so that's kind of what got me into it, was the encouragement from my friends being like, yeah, we'll come watch a stream or we'll support you in this. So then a bunch of my friends, I did a 24-hour stream for Tears of the Kingdom, and that was kind of like my big kickoff stream, like about a year and a half ago now. And just streamed 24 hours, and then if I didn't beat a certain goal, I had to do something. So I like had to eat hot sauce or eat an habanero or some other stuff. It was a lot of fun.
Wait. Did you just say an habanero?
Habanero.
How are you pronouncing the J in that, sir?
There's no J in habanero. It's not a jalapeno.
Oh,
It's an habanero. These are two different peppers.
These two different peppers? Okay, well, I rescind my comment then.
Listen, I can eat a jalapeno like it's nothing. I won't even tear up. An habanero is a completely.
Different
it's
pepper?
Also known as a Scotch bonnet pepper. Is the white way to say it.
See, that would have got me. That one I would have known. You out here using the fancy terms.
That's the name. It's not uncommon. The jalapeno, I ate a jalapeno too. I ate a poblano pepper too, which is like really low. It's basically like eating a green pepper with just like a tiny bit of spice. Jalapenos up there. I got a chili serrano pepper, and then I ended with an habanero. And I had to eat all of them if I didn't complete a certain goal. So that was like my first big stream, and then I had a lot of fun with it. And that's when I decided that like I want to do this more. I took a little time off for like 2 months and got kind of like a schedule and a rhythm together of what I wanted to do. And then Pal World released. And then that's when I decided I'm gonna just consistently stream Pal World. And then I did that a lot, and now we're here.
Now we're here. Now we're here with me on a podcast. Like
That's right. Moving up in the world somehow.
Dude, like, so I've been streaming only since November. Like
Nice.
November last year. And the fact that I've hit as big, quote unquote, like I still count myself as a small streamer, for sure. But as you know, we say in the community, there's no such thing as a small streamer.
I've never said that.
Yeah. I see it all the time on threads, and I'm like, I like it. I like how good it makes me feel, but also at the same time,
Yeah.
I'm a small streamer. Like,
right.
I'm averaging 5-6 people a stream. Like, looking at the number right now, we've got 10 in here. I think we peaked 13 earlier. I'm like, holy crap, there's people actually watching this right now.
There's people watching. Yeah, I put it in my community too, so they'll know.
And so it's
just combining them.
Well, and I also shoved it in like Esri's channel. I shoved it in there.
Yeah.
And a bunch of other places, but it's like you say with the 24-hour stream, that was kind of like one of your moments of like, this is something I want to do. That was me, I think, when I got rated for the first time. Wow. And I don't remember who rated me, and I hate that I don't remember who rated me. But
let's go back.
Yeah,
go back and watch.
I will. If I still have the VOD, because, affiliates don't get to carry that many VODs anymore before pre-affiliate.
You can go into your analytics, and you can just go back. You'll find out who rated you. There you go.
There we go. You're thinking that good math. But it was like one of those moments of just people just coming in and like Or when I first broke the build your community achievement, and I finally got 5 people in my chat chatting, I was like, holy crap. People actually want to see what I'm doing in this game. Also, screw
Yeah,
that
I didn't
achievement.
I didn't know that was an achievement until it like showed up one day and I was like, "Oh, hi. I guess this happened." I was playing Hydroneer and it was just like aggressively sent me an achievement and it was like, "Congratulations on building your community." And I was like,
You can now
they're right here. I see them.
you can now make VIPs. Really? That's all I get for
Yeah.
this? Okay. But
I don't even pay attention to that. The only thing I paid attention to was affiliate, and once I was able to make emotes and put emotes in, that's all I cared about. The rest of the I don't even know what the rest of the goals are.
I know there's like now it's that work to partner, which I would love to down the line if that was an availability to me. Cool. But after I hit that point of affiliate, I'm like, no, I'm content with whatever I have now. Like,
Isn't that like 1,000 followers and like some amount of random subs, but they can't be gifted?
give me a moment because I have my Twitch dashboard up here. I'll open it in a new tab.
It doesn't
It's
matter that much.
it's
Maybe this is derailed. Maybe
no,
this is like creator.
nah, it's and that's why I said like at the beginning, this is whatever we want to make it, and like
Yeah.
we'll round back to video games. Don't worry. And this is technically
Okay.
part of video games. Um, so like for it, it's an average of 75 viewers, stream on 12 different days, and
Wow.
stream for 24 hours collectively within a 30-day period.
I'm lucky if I get 75 viewers ever.
It, and exactly. And like,
Alone average.
so somewhat staying on that weird analytics side of things. Do you do TikTok clips? Well, do you take your Twitch clips and do them for TikTok or like YouTube
I
Shorts?
do I do a lot of clips, but lately I have been so busy in like just life that I haven't been consistent with it. And the only way to really grow on at least reels and on shorts, you have to be like horribly consistent with it.
Yeah,
So I guess one strategy that I was following that actually like went well would I would just schedule it for the next day. So when I first started doing clips, I would just edit them and then immediately post them. And
yeah,
then the algorithm hated that.
yeah,
Algorithm was like, garbage. What are you doing? So then if you schedule them to post at your peak viewership, whenever you see it on the little analytics tab, TikTok has it, Reels has it, and Shorts has it. You just got to find it in your creator dashboards.
yeah,
But if you take those clips and you actually schedule them to post at the same time, based on the peak viewership on that specific platform, you'll actually get pushed further. So I was getting like 5,000 to 10,000 views, which is good viewership. But at the same time, my ROI, like return on investment of these clips, was like one subscriber or one follower every like 50,000 views, which was really bad. But I always hate being the person that's like, hey, you gotta follow me. But at the same, you watch other huge creators like Mr. Beast or something, and they're always like, you have to say it. You have to say
yeah.
it. And I never do. So that's part of the problem.
Um,
But
but like one of those other big moments for me, for like being like, I want to do this. This is something I want to do. I have a Stardew clip on TikTok,
okay.
and it's me when I play Stardew. I do voices for all the NPCs and everything. And with
Very good. Very good.
with one of the new updates, they have it in summer where you get this green rain that comes to your town, and like the townsfolk are freaking out. Like half of them go to the inn and they're stuck there all day. I went and checked on like the old lady and the old guy in town, and they're having existential crises. That clip is still growing, and I've hit 57.6K. And I'm just like,
Nice.
I will sit there at night sometimes in my insomnia, and I'll just go over 57,000 people have seen my face, and they've heard me talk in this old lady's voice as she's talking about, well, if it's the end times, I hope my grandson finds God. And it's just like, what is my
It's
life?
funny.
Oh, and it's hilarious, and I get the appeal for it. It's like, but it's like over 50,000 people.
Yeah, that's a lot of people. I have one clip that hit like 50K, and it was like me talking about there was like this couple in New York City that decided to have sexual relations underneath a blanket in the middle of the park. It's at 43.2K. And I recorded this video really sleep deprived early in the morning. So that probably added a lot to it. And I'm just holding my mug of coffee. And I'm like, I'm just so deep into blanket couple lore. And just saying it like that made people just comment and go crazy and just start sending it to like their friends and family members. Um, and they were like, "Oh, that's so funny." So it was like at 43K on TikTok, and I think it's at like 100K on YouTube right now.
Wow.
Um,
I think the highest I've
but
reached on
but you
YouTube.
don't get you get like 10 subscribers from it or whatever.
Oh
But
yeah,
not that I'm upset with subscribers, but um, a lot of it is just like I go live on Twitch and YouTube at the same time, and now I'm getting like some consistent YouTube chatters, but not many, and a lot more consistent on Twitch. So like I feel like my Twitch is growing almost double the speed of
oh yeah,
YouTube, which is unusual for most people, but I also just, I stopped being consistent with it, but I recently have been trying to edit a lot more actual YouTube videos that I'm proud to post instead of like originally I was just doing highlights, cutting them up really quickly, slapping them together and just posting them. And like they do well, they'd get like 100 to 500 views and they'd have like, 50 to 60% retention, which is pretty good. But they weren't doing. I feel like they would do a lot better if I put a lot more effort into them and actually like put funny sounds in or zoomed in on my face or something.
yeah.
So
You know the
the
gimmicks.
yeah, so the next video I'm releasing, I'm putting a lot more time into, and I think the quality over the quantity is going to really show. It's kind of an experiment I'm doing. I'll let you know how it goes. It's let you know if it's worth it. But the Amazon stream, the ordering and the unboxing, those two VODs are gonna be one big video. So, and I feel like that's pretty entertaining content. I don't know, maybe I'm biased, but we'll see how it goes.
I still just love the copious amount of Amazon boxes that are in the back.
I had a whole weekend to clean this and I didn't do it. So, it
I've
just
had the one air conditioner box that I told you about before we
yeah.
started. Um, it has been there since probably, I want to say March.
Wow.
So
These
okay.
have these have been here since last Wednesday.
Oh, rounding back to games, and I had a question, and then it immediately died in my head.
Yeah.
Biggest game you've rage quitted with?
That I've rage quitted.
Yeah.
I have to think of a game that I've rage quitted.
So,
Don't
and that's
I don't
fair.
really I don't really rage quit games. I just get mad at them but then come back later.
That's fair.
um I think I think Epic Mickey 2 might be
Yeah.
the last that might be the last game I rage quit because you played as Oswald at one point and I couldn't get through this one boss battle and I couldn't figure out what to do. And then I watched like a YouTube video on it of some guy that had done it, and I was literally doing the same thing he was doing, but it would not let me go through. Like I was soft locked out of it, and then I never
Oh,
completed it. I never completed. I was so mad. He was like, "Go to the top and you use your paintbrush on this specific object at this time." And I was like, "I'm doing it." And then it just wouldn't let me do it. So it didn't like me. It's all right.
it's okay. I hate getting soft locked out of games, especially
Yeah,
when you know
it's
you haven't saved in a while either.
well, the issue is you couldn't revert saves. So the only way to get back to that point is to go through the
Oh, it's
entire
higher
game
love.
from the beginning.
Oh, oh,
And
that's
I was
just
like 90% of the way through the game.
I think one of the
Oh, it
biggest
was bad.
experience I've had with that, in that same aspect was Sonic 06. Sonic 06 on the I was playing it on PlayStation 3, and mind you, my house went through a tornado during that time, but it was Silver, like I think it was Silver's like last boss fight,
Okay.
and this tornado. Hey, we didn't even think it was a tornado at the time, and so like at one point we're looking out the window and like rain is literally going sideways, like horizontal rain. That should have been our first clue, but our power went out during this tornado, and I went, when did I save last? Because Sonic 06 was one of the few Sonic games that had manual saves in it. And it put me like right back at the beginning of Silver's playthrough. I'm like, nope, nope, not doing that. Nope, I'm done.
We're not doing that again.
We're not doing that again. And then we also learned like 4 or 5 blocks down from my house, the tornado completely ripped through people's homes and barns and
Oh, that's
everything.
crazy.
And I'm just like, oh, it was a tornado. But like it literally, like the epicenter of the tornado went through my house and didn't touch a thing, and then just
That's
kept
crazy.
going. Yeah, it's one of those wild parts. Well, I think I'm gonna give this little bit of time to you. What do you got coming up? What do you got planned for stream or things?
Well, we just talked about the Amazon video I'm editing. That's gonna be probably the biggest release I'm doing for a bit. I'm working on a few unique controllers that aren't controllers but will be soon.
Oh,
So those will be interesting. I don't know if that's close enough to me to grab. It's not close enough to me to grab, but I can grab this. So these little guys, these little microchips here
yeah.
are all I need to make a little controller.
Oh, I
um
can't wait to see where this goes.
so this is a sorry, I'll bring back my focus to my face. My camera does this. There
There
we
you go.
go. And these are Bluetooth transmitters, but they're also small microcontrollers, and they can hold a very small program, but they also have an SD slot, so I can put in like a 16 gigabyte SD, which really helps. So, but I can also run it off of my computer if I just plug it in. So that's probably what I'm gonna end up doing because my program's like a gig and a half right now. Um, but essentially I also have like the Arduinos that you plug in to take the wires off and plug into other things, but without all the science and nerd shit behind it. The controllers are going to be just basically ordinary everyday objects. I'm sure you've seen like people use fruit and stuff to like type on keyboards and
Yeah.
stuff like that. It's the same program. I'm ripping off of code stacks like they are. Um, we're doing all the same programming tricks and stuff to get it to work. Um, so I've been working on that a little bit, but a lot of that also has to do with my Extreme Haptics Skyrim. I've been working on this for a long time. I've announced it. I think I announced it a little too early, because I was excited. But basically, what I have planned for that, and that's probably going to be more closer to the fall. So this is a really early. It's probably too early too.
Yeah.
But basically, whenever you get shocked in the game, it'll like shock me as a person.
Oh,
Uh, I have
buddy.
I have tens units that will attach to different places of my body, and then when you get shot with an arrow, it'll like give you like small pain pulses there too. And then I have like a platform I'm trying to design that'll shake me when the dragon comes down from the tower and shakes you in the beginning scene. And then I want to do it as my first like subathon basically. So I'm going to set a certain amount of hours, choose a charity of some kind, and then if you sub to me or whatever or donate, then it'll start extending the time for how long I have to go. So we'll do that on a weekend. We'll probably start Friday night into Saturday, and then wherever we land, we'll just keep going.
Nice. Well, that sounds honestly really cool, but I would find myself in a lot of pain.
Yeah, I mean, I'm having issues with how we're gonna do like heat and fire because I don't want to burn my house down by accident.
Yeah.
But the water's pretty easy. They make like little turret water things basically that you can just buy. I don't know what the application is, but someone's buying a lot of them because they're pretty cheap. And you could just like shoot yourself the water. That one's really easy to make. The other one is like making heat that blows at you is kind of it's kind of dangerous. We might just skip it altogether. Might just make it a bright light or
Just make it a
something.
bright light. You're blinded.
Yeah. Yeah, that works.
That works. Well, again, thank you for having me. There I go
Yeah,
again.
welcome to my podcast, guys. Joystick Journeys, episode 100. Don't you forget it.
uh, but thanks for coming out and talking and whatnot. I know we got severely sidetracked, but also at the same point, this isn't going to be super like cut thing. This is two bros having a chat and hanging out.
I am streaming at 9 p.m. for
Oh,
1 hour.
see, there we go. I'm gonna go ahead and give you a full shout out on the in the actual chat. I know I've had your channel pinned this entire time as well.
Woo!
Yeah, I always have a fun time spelling your username. Oh, as we
It's
close,
literally just 3 words.
I can't spell. That's
Oh,
that's the fun part, and
that's fine.
it's insanity that always gets me too.
It's just funnier.
I think
It'd almost be funnier if you shouted out someone who's not me.
someone who's not you, yeah.
Or some channel that doesn't actually exist.
But just one quick last question. Where'd you get your username from? How'd you come up with that?
Okay, so my username started. So this was like end of college, and I was really big into just debating really stupid topics for no reason. And TikTok was starting to become like a bigger thing that the general person was using instead of just a bunch of people dancing on it. Which I should have downloaded sooner and just became a influencer on TikTok. But everyone misses the train somewhere. Um, and so I started this as a thing just to make like stupid, dumb videos where I just defend an idea that's really dumb. So I think my first video is like Minecraft is a terrible game, which is obviously untrue, but it actually did surprisingly well too. Hold on. It's kind of down there, but then I started just like defending games and just telling people that the game that they love, like Call of Duty, is a terrible game or something. And then people would get so mad about it. But I thought it was so funny. It was so funny to me, even though it's not really that funny, that I was just defending this idea that's ridiculous. And that's how we started. Um, then for a while I was doing. Oh, my first video was Jeff Bezos isn't real. That's a good one. That's a banger. It has 1,100 views now. And then I said Minecraft is a trash game, which has 2,000 views. And one guy commented, hold on, he commented that I'm like 30 something, and it was so funny.
That's great.
But it was recorded on like my awful PC that could hardly run Minecraft, so it's so glitchy and buggy. And then I didn't really defend another idea for months go by. There were 2 videos on my channel.
That's great. You
And
should
that's how
start that
it
up
started.
again. You should definitely start that up again.
I did have a series where I said, "This is what I think about you based on your favorite video game," and that started. I got scared because they started getting like 3,000 to 5,000 views a video. I was like, "Oh, this is too many people. They should know who I am." So I pinned one of those recently. I might start that up again, but I think it would be funny just starting up the series again for shits and giggles.
Well,
How'd you come up with Sand Ninja 52?
oh
Where
my.
did the 52 come from?
So first of all, where do you think the Sand Ninja came from?
I have no idea.
So a bunch of my friends and stuff, when I used to tell my gamer tag and they know I like anime, they're like, "Oh, you're Sand Ninja because you like Naruto and you have a Garo dog tag." And I'm like,
Okay.
ironically, no, that's not where this came from. When I first got my Xbox 360, Sand Ninja was my default randomly generated game tag.
Got it.
And then when you get live, you're allowed to edit it once. So I added my lucky number.
52.
So I added my lucky number.
Yeah, my other Discord account, Feed3757, was from my auto-generated Xbox gamer tag. That's still my account that I use for just random stuff. Tagged to my old high school email.
That's great. But it has been wonderful having you. I know we're cutting it technically a half an hour short, but I think a good solid 2-ish hours is good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I think
That's a pretty good length podcast right there.
I think we covered a good bit. I think we had a good time. And
Yeah, we have Larry the Cow.
We have Larry the Cow. We have your copious amount of Amazon boxes.
Absolutely.
And
we have my box of fidget toys.
Yeah, fidget toys. You got so much crap. I know you did.
We have my 100 resin ducks somewhere.
Oh, Jesus. But everyone, I think that is where we are going to end it for today. Thank you all for joining me. Defend, thank you for joining me. Make sure you guys follow him. Give him some love. You said you're going to be at 9 p.m. tonight?
9 p.m. EST.
EST. All right. And I will see you guys next time.